What is up, guys? Digital VFX here once again, and today we have a different type of video. As you can tell, this one is going to be on how to use an audio mixer, and you obviously can see that I have a small one right in front of me here, but that really doesn't matter because the concept of mixers is unanimous to every single mixer. They all work in the same way. Obviously, the huge 100 channel mixers you'll see in a studio or perhaps in a live venue, obviously those are much bigger and a lot more complicated and have a lot more features, but the general principle works in the same way. So through this very basic 8 channel mixer, I can teach you essentially the exact concepts that would apply to a full 40, 60, $80,000 mixer. So anyway, to kick off this video, as you can see in the top section right here, I'm just going to work on these first 4 channels right here first. You have mic inserts for the first 4 channels, as well as line inputs, and then you have 2 insert channels on the first 2 channel, and then you have a couple of buttons. The second channel here has a dedicated guitar button, unlike the other 3, and every single one also has a low cut, and that low cut removes all frequencies below 80 hertz. Some of them are adjustable. This one happens to be just a set frequency that you can cut. So what you do to patch this in is I have my balanced XLR cable right here attached to a mic, and I'm going to put that into my mic 1 channel slot. Alright, and so what you would then do is you would patch out, assuming this was the only input you were going to use. I happen to have a second one that I'm going to use for this video, but if that were the only input you would use, then you can just patch out of the main output and be on with your way. But I am going to be adding in a signal from my computer, so I have 2 1/4-inch connectors right there, and I'm going to put these into line 5 and 6. Right going in 5, left going in 6. That's usually how they work out. They're generally paired so that the left is the first number and right is the second number. And so, great, now we have that 1/4-inch from our computer going into the mixer at line level. So you don't need to boost anything because it's already at line level. Now, I believe we have everything set up. So next thing you're going to want to do is power up your mixer. And I'm not going to be outputting anything just because I do have a mic right here and I want to avoid feedback. But typically, obviously, you would patch out of your main output and your main monitor. But anyway, so now that we have everything patched in, we can move down the mixer. As you can see, the first section you hit here is your EQ section, and the first 2 channels have a lot bigger of an EQ section than the remaining channels, but as we dwindle down in knobs, they pretty much just give you the bare features that you're going to need. Here it happens to be a high cut and a low cut. And over here on the first 2 channels, we have the exact same thing, but with an added mid feature. So you can see we can boost or cut any of those mid frequencies. And you move down, you have sends. And I'm going to get to sends in a second when I explain over here in the send, or in the return section, I should say. But moving down, we have the pan section, which is pretty self-explanatory. Pan right or left, whichever you prefer, or whichever is applicable for the situation. And then at the very bottom, normal mixers, well, I shouldn't say normal, but the higher end mixers will typically have faders, but this is a lower end mixer, and it just has knobs, but they work fine. Alright, so now you are zoomed in to the master section of this mixer, and as you can see, there isn't much to it, but it's all the basic features that you're going to need in any mixer. And those features include a main output left and right, monitor output left and right, aux send and return, a foot switch, and a 2-track section. And this 2-track section, all it does is it either sends or receives a signal well, I guess it could do both, but so it sends and receives a signal to a 2-track recorder if you wish to do so. And all that would do is record your mix if you want to record it, or have a pre-recorded mix play through your system. And there's also a headphone jack for a 1/4-inch headphone. And that's pretty much the master section. Now I'm going to take you guys through effects, and we'll get right into that. Alright, so now we are kind of zoomed in into the middle section of this mixer, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about the effects section running right through here and over here. They're the red knobs, and the top set of knobs says FX Post, and the bottom says Aux Pre. And what those means is, typically on a professional level console, you would send signal to a time-based processor through aux sends, and that's what this bottom knob here is for. And you can't really see it in the shop, but in the master section, which I just showed you guys, there is an aux send port, and you would usually patch in a dynamic processor. And there is one aux send and 2 aux returns, meaning you can send it in mono, usually the left channel, and then you can return it back in stereo, so you can have a stereo reverb or delay, or whatever type of channel you want. I shouldn't say channel, but effect. And so what the pre and post means is that is just when the effect is going to be applied to the signal. So post means it is going to be applied after this knob. So if this knob with the volume is all the way down, there's going to be no effect sent to that because there is no signal to be processed. Now if you went pre, this would affect your signal before the fader. So if I were in here and I were listening to my mix, not sending anything out to the master, if I were just listening to my mix through headphones and I had this all the way off, I would be able to monitor my effect using this aux pre. If I were to turn this up and then turn the master up right here, I would be able to hear the effect because it's pre-fader. Well, in this instance, it's pre-knob, but typically it's called pre-fader on a console. So being that I don't have an external effect that I can patch out to, I'm just going to be using the effects post when I show you the actual signal flow later in the video. But that's pretty much essentially the gist of what aux sends and effects sends are used to do, especially on a basic level console like this one. Alright, so here we are on the very last section of this mixer that I'm going to cover, and this is the last thing I'm going to do, like I just said before, I show you guys how to actually get sound to and from your mixer. But as I just explained, here are the aux and FX returns right here. But right above that you notice this knob, and it might be hard to read, but all the different words around this knob happen to be different effects. So the very top one here is chorus, and it's kind of a room chorus. That could be the type of reverb, a chorus reverb mix. But they're basically different types of effects that you can send around there. And that's something I kind of like about this basic mixer, is that it has some built-in effects. Alright, so now you can see the entire mixer, and you now know everything I just explained, and we want to get audio in our console and out to different places, which is the main reason why you have a console. So I'm going to start with this mic channel on line 1. So I have the mic right here, right there, and I'm going to start with this gain knob right there. And first I'm going to put up the master to about unity gain, which is right about there. And then I am going to, once I put this up to unity gain as well, I'm going to set the gain structure for this mic. And normally there'd be an input testing it, but I'm just going to tap it, and as you can see, when I tap it, we get some signal over here on the meters. And so once you have someone doing sound check and they'll be singing, you'll be able to get a consistent level that you can set the gain structure to. And so once you have that, that's all fine and dandy. And now we have the line in, which is actually going to be a little bit easier because it's a consistent level, and I have audio playing right now. So that is inserted into stereo channel 5 and 6. And so if I just start to bring that up, you'll start to see some signal going to our master channel. And obviously you can put it up more to have more, and that's how that is done. Now, because I have a couple of mics here and I want to avoid feedback as much as possible, I don't have any outputs sent to the monitors or to the main, but I can assure you, once you have these channels up and the proper gain structure set, then all you need to do, it's as simple as turning up the volume for the main or turning up the volume for the monitors, and your audio will go out like so. And the very last thing is just this phone. So if you want to mix it, it's a completely separate. Some interfaces or some mixers have a monitor phone section. That's what this is. It's just next to the monitor. It's just labeled different in some applications, so just be aware of that. But other than that, that's pretty much how you get audio in and out of your console. It's as easy as being sent into one thing and then routing that one channel into a master. And obviously this is a little easier to see because it's a smaller mixer, but I encourage you guys to go ahead and Google giant mixers. Not exactly those words, but go Google like the Verona, the Midas Verona, and the Midas Venice. Those are the consoles I use at school, and they're live mixing consoles. Or there are also the Audient SP something. If you go and just Google Audient mixing console, you can just go and take a look at some of those pictures and see what I'm talking about, where every channel is the exact same. It's just cloned multiple times, and then they're just sent to a master bus, or which is typically known as the stereo bus in a mixing console, or the main out in a live console. But I hope this video helped. Let me know if you guys like this style of tutorial where it's kind of physical and it's like a gear review, or kind of user-friendly manual type thing. But yeah, if you guys like this video, remember to comment, rate, subscribe, share this video, throw down some suggestions for future videos, and seriously let me know if you like this format and I could continue doing this type of tutorial. But as always, it's been a Digital VFX production, and thanks for watching.